Alright, this is another JavaScript work. Let me show you what it does. This is random gradient generator. As I click on refresh, you can see these two colors getting changed. So in case if you like either one gradient, just let go of the button, and if you want to modify these two color, you are free to go. Just click on the green color. I want to make this more saturated, and I want to make this reddish color a little darker. And in case if you want to change the direction of the gradient, just click on the select tag, and I like this gradient and I want to copy this code. Just click on the copy code button, and it says the code is copied, and now you can paste it wherever you like, and this is the copied code. Alright, welcome to episode number 87 of the JavaScript playlist. Here in this video we are going to see how to create a gradient generator. Let me show you what it does. As you have seen what it does, now to follow along, I'll leave the source code in the description. In case if you got stuck somewhere, just copy paste it and start along with me. Now to follow like this project, I have about 86 projects in the playlist. I'll leave the link in the description if you are interested in learning JavaScript from scratch. If you are a very beginner, I would recommend you to start from episode 1. So if you are an intermediate level JavaScript beginner, intermediate level JavaScript expert, you can just start along with the current video. Now let's get started. Alright, now let's start working on the code. So to start the code, we just need three files. The first one is index.html, and the second one is script.js, and the third one is style.css. So these are the three files. The name can be anything, but the extension should be .html, .css, and .js. Fine. Now in the HTML we have to link those files. At the footer I have linked the style script tag, and in the head section I have linked the style sheet. Now as of now the script file is empty, but for the style sheet I have added the font called Poppins, and for all the element I have used the font family as Poppins, and I have removed the margin and padding along with the box sizing border box. Now for the HTML we need to have a main container called wrapper. Inside the wrapper we need a background div. I'll create these HTML and then play. Fine. Now we have a wrapper. Inside the wrapper we have a background div, and inside the background we have there's a problem here. This row should end somewhere over here. Now just to see, we have the sibling count, which is 4. The first one is background, the second one is row, and the third one is text area, and the fourth one is button. So inside the wrapper we have a background, it's just a background div, and then we have a row. Inside the row we have two columns. The first one will have the select tag, and the second one will have the colors. So the select tag is very straightforward. We have select tag with some option. You can see the last, which is selected, which is by default selected when the page loads. Now this is for the first column, and for the second column we just have two input field. We just differentiate the two column with the class called select and the color. Now we have two input field, which is input type color, and these are the values, default values, which I have provided on page load. So just after the row we have a sibling called text area, and this has the value called background image, and this is the CSS. And then we have a button. We have two buttons. The first one is refresh and the second one is copy. We differentiate it by the class name called refresh and copy, and this div has the class called buttons. So that's enough for the CSS. Now it's time for the that's enough for the HTML. It's time for the CSS. So I have made a CSS hierarchy. In case if we got stuck somewhere, we can just the reason for writing the code in this way is this will prevent the CSS override. In many cases uh, there could be a problem where two CSS rule override each other. So by writing in this way we won't get any CSS override issue. Now here it would be like the direction, DIRECTION, and then after the direction inside the column we have colors. Cool. So we can style them differently. So inside the column we have paragraph as well. Cool. Now let's get into the CSS. EDEBEE. Cool. There's a gray and the black. So for the body we'll have some gradient. So let's just give the width as 100% of viewport width and height of 100% of viewport height. And let's have a background color, let's say some black color, #333. Once you save, you could see the value. And the wrapper will have a background color, let's say white. We'll just focus on the CSS, and the width is going to be like 500 pixel, and whatever is there inside the body I want it to be at the center. So in that case, display flex align item center, justify content center will work. Since we have given the wrapper width, you could see only the width as 500 pixel. Now it's time for the padding, 25 pixel on all sides. And let's have a background color. So before giving background color, it should have height of let's say 200 pixel. And let's have a background color of red just to see. Width, let that be 100% of the container. So now here we can have this value which we have specified on the text area. Don't forget the colon, semicolon after each property. Cool. Now it's time for the row. Let's just give display flex, and for the column let each of them have width of 50%, and the container should have width of 100%. Not inside background, there's a CSS problem here. Cool, I removed it. And we just need some padding, top bottom left right all one time, top bottom left right 0, and then we have a background for the text area. So let's call the text area. Here everything seems right, you can see. If you want, you can make this 50% again. So in that case, get the color width of 100%, sorry, width of 50%, not select tag but the input field inside the colors. We should have width of 100%, sorry 50%, and the colors should have display flex and flex wrap, and for the paragraph inside the color we should make the width of 100%. So this is 100 and this is 50 and this is 50. This is only happening because of this flex wrap. So we are saying to this color divs, saying that apply the flex property based on the width passed. In this case, the width of the paragraph is 100 and the rest of them is 50-50. And we can use the calculate function here. Calculate 50% minus 10%. So in that case we have given 20%. We can give margin right of 10 pixel So we get some gap 10 pixel. You can see if you wanted you can make this even smaller by making this 5 pixel. Cool, I believe that's enough. Now here we can able to select the hex code, and let's focus on the text area. Let the width be 100%, and let the padding be top bottom 10 pixel, left right 10 pixel. I think the value is taking. Cool. Now I don't want this to be resized, so you can see we are able to resize this. So we'll make this resize as none, and let's fix the height. Let's say 100 pixel. I think that's too much. Let's just make this 80, 90. 80 was fine. We don't want overflow, and we can play with the font size. And if you want this as a code, we can make this background as hash and color as so we'll leave it to them. Let that be white. If you want you can change. And let's focus on the next two buttons the same way as we did for the input field color. We are going to do that with 100% to the main container, and for the rest of the buttons it is going to be with 50 and with 50. Don't forget to give display flex, and let's have a margin top of let's say 15 pixel. And the same way, instead of making this, we can have calculation 50% minus 10 pixel. And now we have some space on the right side, which is 20 pixel, 10 plus 10. So align item, we can have, so instead of align item we can have justify content, we can have space between, and we can style the buttons. Padding let's say 10 pixel. Top bottom 10 pixel, left and right. I think now it's time for the CSS. Background color red. For the button we need to remove the border, 0, outline, none, and we can play with the color as white. Not that dark, 333. And for the next we'll make this little lighter. Cool. Now the CSS and HTML part is done. Let's let's style the select tag. We can have padding of 10 pixel on all sides. Inside we have a select tag. Let's deal with that. Top bottom 5 pixel, left and right 10 pixel. Cool. Now let's meet at the JavaScript session. Alright, now let's look at the script. So we'll get the two input field in the JavaScript. So using document dot query selector. Here we need multiple input fields, so query selector all. So inside the color we have an input field call inputs. So we'll add, since we will be getting the node list, console.log. Let me just show you. Make sure your script file is linked or else you'll get an error. So in the console on page refresh, you'll get the node list to input field. So we'll use the for each. And we can access one by one input field as a parameter of this function one by one. So let me just console log and check whether we are able to get the input field individually. So we are able to get two input field individually. Now we'll add event listener to individual input field, which is change, and the function is going to be generate colors. So create a function called generate colors. So what should happen? We need to get the value. So here instead of one by one, let's just check list dot value. So this console will be logged once we change the value. As of now not showing up. Or we can directly access with this variable. Since we have two values, we can access it by 0 and by 1. So this is, let's just change the value. Yeah, it's working after I select it. If I click somewhere, you're able to get the hex values. So we are able to get the hex values, and now what we need to do is we need to append these two colors inside the CSS. So let's create a variable called gradient, and the CSS is going to be exactly same as of this one. Use the backtick, and for the first parameter we'll use the template literal, and for the second parameter we can have this. Cool. Now we just will get this background div in JavaScript. It's just one value, so query selector. So we can try applying this. Select this dot style dot background equal to a string, and let's try. I'll just make this slightly orangish, and as you see, it's working as we thought. Cool. Now it's time to, once we select this, we want to update this value. Let's work on that. Now here we can make a minor modification. Instead of change, we'll make this input. Refresh it, and as I change, you see the gradient is also going to change. Now once this is done, we need to create an event listener for the select tag. So in the document, select the select tag underscore tag. It's an HTML. You can see we are getting this select tag. and add an event listener to the select tag as well. So now if I change some value and if I select it, this is going to change, but here the trick thing is we can access the select value over here using the template literal select dot value. Now it's left top, it's right, it's bottom, and now you can change the value to something like brown and some pink. Now you can play with the direction, top, right, the option is yours. Now apply the same value to this text area. So we have a text area tag. Just what we need to do is get the text area tag value and write something, apply here as we select. So if I select some values, you'll see apply here got applied. So here we'll just simply add the gradient value as a text area value. So as I change, you'll see the gradient got changed. So the thing is, we just need to make sure it's as same as it's shown in the HTML. We are just passing the values, but we don't need the value, we need the full text. So in that case, I have this text, don't forget to write it inside the, or else it won't work. So we need to pass this gradient over here. Refresh it, try changing the value. It's a variable, not a string, so template literal is must. So you can see as I change, the value in the text box also getting changed. So let's just make this to left. You can play with the background. One thing that you can make it is get the body tag and you can apply the same gradient to body tag as well. Dot style dot background equal to apply the gradient, and now you can check as you change, select this, the background also will change according to your selection. Cool. Now let's work on the refresh and copy code. Now let's focus on refresh color. As I click on refresh color, let me just add an element in the JavaScript, so which is refresh. It's a refresh button underscore VT. Let's add a event listener, and in the event listener we need to pass true here, and for the same element, for the same function which we have doing, we don't need background as of now. Just pass is random. If is random is true, console.log refresh color. As we pass variable to our function, let's add this to other event listener as well. For rest it's false. So I'm writing this just to avoid creating another function. Just to avoid creating another function. Now let's just use the console. If I click on the refresh button, and one more thing, if it is written in this way, nothing will get called, but if it is if you write in this way, by default JavaScript calls it. Just a pro tip. Now, as I said, if it is true, then only we are able to get this color. So in this function, what we will do is we will just make the color of, we'll create a two variable, color option 1 and a random value, color option 2 and some random value, and the same way for color option 1, let's just use the first value here, and for color option 2, let's just get the same value as we got from the input field, which is over here. Now instead of the hard hidden value, we can pass this variable. Now I'm making you understand that. Let me just convert this to Xcode. Black and white. If I make this, if I click on the button, it will black and white. So just to give you a example. Now if the is random is false, that means, let me just change the value. There seems to be an error, and in this case we'll have the else part. And let's just debug together. Console.log. Let's see whether which value is getting applied. Oh, everything seems to be right, but the thing is, this should be outside. We are passing the if else value only to colors. And we can set the values as well. We just need to replace this so that this color also gets refreshed. We have to write this over here. Cool. Let's just check whether we are able to get the value. I don't think so. Refresh it. We are getting a black as a value. As of now, so for these two element I have passed the false value. We can see the false. Let's just check console.log for just setting false, and if I select something, we should have the value called false to be displayed, and if it is true, it's going to display true. Refresh it. On each refresh you should get true value. Let's click, I'm sorry. And for select tag it's going to be change. console.log checking. On each click I should get checking, but it's not the case. There is some other error. Let's try this as a callback function. Cool, everything seems to be working fine. Now I just wanted to show you when I click on this refresh, what really happens is I'm applying these two values. So I want to create a function that will generate a random color. Make random color, and it will return a color, random colors. It's not a string, it's a variable. And here math.floor, math.random is a function. We need to multiply it with hash 0 x 1 2 3 4 5 6. So this is nothing but this is the maximum value of the color, which is white, a mixture of all color, and we are limiting it. The math.random will give you the value from 0.0 to 0.9, and we are multiplying it with the maximum value, and we need to get it in a string value, to string as 16. This is going to be a hexadecimal value, and we'll be getting this as a string. So in this case what we need to do is we have to use the template literal, and if everything works fine, we need to call this function in these places. You can see I am passing it as a string, that's why I made it as a string on line number 9. Template only works on backtick. So you can see I am able to refresh, get the number, but I believe the hash is not there. Yeah, now you can see I am able to get the random values on each refresh, and we can change the value as well. In case if you like the first value, let's just change the second value. In a darker tone, and change the direction as you like. So now let's work on the copy code. Let's work on the copy code button. So get the value in the JavaScript. It's copy button. So here what we can do is we need to add an event listener. It's not a callback function. Copy code function name. We can remove this. Console.log, just typing alert once I click on copy code. Yeah, it's working. Now we need to call the JavaScript inbuilt function navigator.clipboard dot write text, and we need to pass the text area value. This is text area tag. We need to pass the text area dot value, and we need to change the text. This dot inner text equal to code copied. Now if I click on it, I think that's a spelling mistake. Click on it, you see code copied, and after let's say 1 second, it should turn back to the original text. After 1 second, let the code, this won't work inside set timeout, change back to code copy code. Click on it, copy code, code copied, and copy code is back. So that's all for this video. The scope of this video is done. Thank you so much for listening.